What's up, people? I am back. I am here to review Bill and Ted. And so the plan is I'm going to do Bill and Ted today. I'm actually doing two videos. I'm doing Bill and Ted Excellent Adventure right now. And then, like I posted on Twitter, I'll probably some point tonight. It'll probably be late, though, like around 10 or, it depends, like 9, 10, or 11, like between those hours. I will be reviewing Ghostbusters and kicking off the Ghostbusters trilogy. And then I'll be doing Ghostbusters 2 tomorrow. And I'll be doing Bill and Ted's Bogus Journey, which is the second one. I'll do that one next week. I'm going to make those weekly. So that's the plan right now. But right now, I am reviewing Bill and Ted. This is the movie that, in my opinion, that kind of kicked off Keanu Reeves' career. Like, I think he had done bit parts before then, but this was one of his earliest roles. And it's a fun movie. Like, I'll admit, I hadn't watched it in a while. I mean, I watched it, like, I think before Face the Music came out, which I will be doing that one too. But, before that, I hadn't watched it forever. And then I rewatched it, since Face the Music, which that came out, I think, 2020. So I hadn't watched it in 2 years. So rewatching it, I rewatched it last night. And it's such a good movie. It's just a simple movie. The whole concept that, there's this utopian society that was inspired by the music of Bill and Ted's band, the Wild Stallions. And they have to basically prevent them from being broken apart. Because Bill and Ted, due to flunking in school, have to get like a passing grade on their report, or else like Ted's dad sends them to military school. So and then like the whole Rufus, played by the great George Carlin, is fucking great in it. Even though he's not in the whole movie, he's like in a couple of scenes. He's fucking awesome. Just an all-around great movie. Alex Winter was really fun. Their dynamic is great, and yeah, they're kind of dumb guys, but they're fucking great. And the whole, this and like Wayne's World are like the homages to like great rock and metal at that time. Just like they reference like Bon Jovi, Eddie Van Halen, like just stuff like that. It's just an all around great movie. So they end up getting getting a phone booth that's actually a time machine that they decide they're gonna like snag people from certain points in history so they can pass the report. And basically that's kind of really the movie. It's like the race to get these guys to the report presentation. It's just an all awesome movie. Like, Keanu is great, and this is like, it's crazy like how far Keanu has come. Like, going from like doing these movies to the movies I've I already reviewed, not just The Matrix, like Point Break, Speed, like just that evolution of him. So this is definitely the movie that made him. So, but besides that, we're gonna kick off the review. So here we go. The movie kicks off in 2688. This is where we meet Rufus. And I like how the mystery of you don't know who they are, but they're looking for Bill and Ted. And they have to basically Rufus gets the info on them and has to try to get them to do their report. And then they travel to San Dimas, California. And this is where we meet Bill and Ted, where they do their little videos for their band. But then this is where we meet his dad, who's a police chief, who basically, if he fucks up one more time, he's going to be sent to military school. And the teacher tells them that they pretty much flunked and they have to pass this report to even pass the class. So basically, that night, and then throughout the film, I love like Bill has a stepmom who he sometimes call, I think Maggie is her name. Um, Basically, her shtick is she's hot, and I'm not gonna lie, like she is like fine. And Bill and Ted are studying in their room for a bit. Bill's dad shows up and basically kind of gives him money to go out so he can be with his woman. They go to the Quickie Mart, like one of those liquor stores that is basically like 7-Eleven. Then Rufus arrives and gives them the rundown, and he basically tells them they have to finish their book report. Oh, Circle K, that's where they were. They have to finish their book report, and then the time machine, which is actually from the point of the when they get back from the trip, which is it's crazy how they did that, because I'm assuming this movie probably didn't have a big budget, and it looked good. Like it looked good. Like when they were looking at themselves, it looked good. It didn't look. It's crazy. So they tell themselves they have to set the watch, and they have to. And yeah, basically tell them, oh, you have to set the watch, and that they're gonna meet some princesses, and then or Ted tells himself to set the watch, and then there's a reason for that, and then initially Rufus takes him to he takes him to 1805 where we meet Napoleon Bonaparte. He snags Napoleon and takes him back with them, and then he leaves them the time machine. And the way they explain the machine is like movies like back then. This is a thing I talk about a lot. Movies that had like a big premise, like stuff like Jurassic Park, The Matrix, even Back to the Future to a lesser extent, like where they had these big concepts, like, oh, there's this big thing and this is how our movie is, but they explain it in a way that doesn't treat the audience like it's dumb, but it also isn't like overly convoluted to where you can't follow it. It makes it easy for people to understand. Like they made it easy for you to understand how the time machine works, and they have to make it work a certain way. And I think that's the thing with with time travel in general. You gotta explain it in a way and make it make sense. But I also like it in this movie. It's time travel, but it's not like I don't look at it like a time travel movie like I look at Back to the Future. So I really like that. It's a time travel movie, but it's not like a fully time travel movie. So they get Napoleon Bonaparte. Rufus leaves. Basically tells them they got to be back in a certain amount of hours so they can finish the report. They leave. Bill leaves. They leave Napoleon with Ted's brother Deacon while they leave, and they first travel to I think sometime in the 1800s. I'm assuming because this was like to find Billy the Kid, and we have like a good bar scene, and you always got to have your obligatory when you have a Western, even though it's not a Western, but a part in a Western where you got to have your traditional where it's at a bar fight ensues, people get thrown around, Bill and Ted both just get, slid off the table. You got to always do that spot. It's fucking great. And then they end up getting Socrates in ancient Greece, which I just love the set pieces. Is for even the little sections where whatever time period they're in, it makes it feel like they're in that time period so they end up getting Socrates and Billy the Kid. Then they travel to 15th century England, so basically medieval England. It almost like when they're in that medieval section, it almost becomes like a medieval movie, like a mini medieval movie. Like if guys from the present came to medieval England. And this is where they befriend the princesses that they see early on, because they pose as nice. They have a little fight where Bill thinks Ted initially gets killed because they're in armor, and I think Bill ends up accidentally knocking Ted down some stairs, and then some invaders who are invading the either they're invaders or they're knights who thought they were I think they were knights that thought they were intruders. So seemingly not Bill, Ted dies, but actually Ted rolls out of his suit, beats up the guy, and they befriend the princesses, Joanna and Elizabeth. But their father finds them and pretty much finds them in their not the DeLorean, sorry, wrong franchise. Which one day I will do Back to the Future. That's one that will definitely fucking happen at some point. But they find the booth, the time machine, and seemingly Bill and Ted are about to be executed. And it turns out the executioners are Billy and Socrates. Grab them. We get like a cool little chase scene. And I gotta say, throughout the film, the soundtrack is great, especially the moment when they get to the utopian society part of the film. Like when we actually get to explore it. Like we see a little bit of it in the beginning, but like when they actually arrive there. So they end up escaping 15th century England, but then I thought this was after, but yeah, so after that they end up getting taken. This is where they see the society. You get like this rock music playing in the background. I don't know who the artist is, but whoever that is, it just fit the scene. And they give this is where they be good to each other and party on dudes. That's where I just like it almost was like I look at this movie as like not a PG because they do reference like 69 and some adult stuff, but it is a bit milder Beavis and Butthead in a sense. Just they're not as like sex obsessed, but it's almost like kind of the same thing. But that's fine. So Bill and Ted, this is where they're inspired. They gather a bunch of historical figures: Joan of Arc, Genghis Khan, Sigmund and Freud, Beethoven, and Abraham Lincoln. And I love those moments where they just grab them. And on the way back, they had the antenna on their time machine fucks up, so they have to stop in 10,000 BC, basically like prehistoric times. It was fairly quick. They end up fixing it, and then they arrive back in time, back in San Dimas, but they end up having to find Napoleon because Deacon's brother. This is where I kind of glossed over, but throughout the film, you see his brother kind of taking Napoleon around. Like they were eating pizza, they were eating ice cream. But then he goes to a bowling alley, but he ends up getting kicked out, and basically, yeah, Deacon ditched him. So they have to find. So they end up going to the mall because that's where the presentation is happening. Where like all the students are presenting their their history projects. So the guys end up dropping off like the historical figures in the mall while they go look for Napoleon. And while this is happening, they each kind of go off. Like there's a scene where Socrates and Billy the Kid try to hit on some girls. Genghis finds because he gets rid of his like I don't know if it was wood. I think it was stone actually. Stone like bat looking thing. He finds like an actual baseball bat and uses that. Beethoven plays some music, but they end up kind of causing some havoc, so they end up getting kicked out of the mall and arrested. While they end up finding Napoleon at the water park. So while getting Napoleon back, they realize the historical people got arrested. Like yeah, Joan of Arc did like a dance at like because this was the 80s still because this film came out in 89. So like those like super 80s aerobic kind of style music videos. They did not like exercise videos. She did something like that. So, then they have to collect the historical figures. So they devise a plan to get his dad's prison key. Because throughout the film, his dad mentions like, oh, my keys are missing. But it turns out Bill and Ted went back in time to get his keys and to leave it behind the thing so they can get him out. And it's like, I love when movies like set something up in the beginning and it actually pays off. It's fucking great. And then they get the historical figures, and then they end up making their presentation. And this scene was great. Like, their whole presentation was fucking great. And just the performance was great. So yeah, they end up getting an A+. They pass, and then Rufus comes back and ends up getting the princesses because it turns out he went back to get them. And it turns out they're part of the band, and this is where they pretty much set up the third movie, where they basically make an ultimate song that makes world peace, essentially. Like, and then they jam, and yeah, they're not great, and that's fucking. I love this movie. It's a really fun movie. It's fun, like it's almost, and it's cool to see Keanu like in his beginnings, like because just to see his evolution of his character, like going from like playing like Ted. Don't get me wrong, I like these movies, but going from that to obviously where he is now. But even by the time where he is, like when The Matrix came out, so it's like to go from that and then just this. This is an all around fun movie. The pacing's perfect. The soundtrack is great. Especially as someone who loves rock and metal, I just love the like homages, the Eddie Van Halen references. They reference Bon Jovi. It's just great film. The dynamic between Bill and Ted, like one of those things too, when you do movies like with pairings, like what makes like the great ones great is like they instantly have chemistry. Granted, Bill and Ted is a bit different because they were already friends. Like, whereas because a lot of the pairings I'm thinking of are like they kind of get put together, like Rush Hour, Men in Black, and the biggest one, Lethal Weapon. But yeah, these guys were already friends, but they felt like they've known each other. And this was just back when movies they already, like, even though this movie just came out, there was already stuff going on behind the scenes and stuff like that. This is just an awesome movie. So I feel like I need to watch this one way more. So it's one of Keanu's best. I heavily recommend if you've not seen it. It's 10 out of, I wouldn't make not 10 out of 10, but like a 9.5 out of 10 comedy. It's really funny. So, I'm going to do Bogus Journey next week. So I'm going to make those weekly. So, and, like I mentioned, tomorrow I'll be doing, not tomorrow, tonight I will be doing Ghostbusters, the first one, which I had to finally get to these movies. It's unfortunate. Ivan Reitman, R.I.P. I just felt like it was time anyway to do these movies, so I'm gonna do the trilogy, because in my opinion it's a trilogy. Fuck Ghostbusters, or I call it Shitbusters 2016. But yeah, I'll be doing the first one today. Tomorrow I'll do Ghostbusters 2. Saturday, if I don't do it Saturday, definitely Sunday, I'll do Ghostbusters Afterlife. So that's my plan pretty much for the rest of the week. Is going to be Ghostbusters stuff. I will see if I can if I don't do it Sunday, I'll do it. Like if I do the Ghostbusters Afterlife video on Saturday, Sunday I'll review I want to rant on that movie, the new Texas Chainsaw Massacre movie on Netflix. That movie is hot garbage. So I want to rant on that. So if I don't do it Sunday, I'll do it Monday. But yeah, guys. I'm going to cheers one more time, and I'll see y'all later. Later tonight. It's fucking windy, sorry. But as usual, fuck Warner Brothers, fuck Disney, fuck LeBron, fuck Seth Rogen, fuck Joy Reid, and fuck the Biden administration. I'll talk to y'all later tonight. Peace!